internship progress of the UDA Summer Interns from very prestigious colleges of India, including IIT Delhi and IIT Kanpur. So previously also we had a similar presentation by the students from other colleges, and these budding engineers and researchers, they kickstarted the UDA journey with us almost a month back. And now that they have spent some considerable amount of time with us, we thought that it's good time for them to showcase the progress they have made on their projects on topics related to UDA, including marine spatial planning, urban flooding, silt management, and sediment transport model, etc. And these interns are being led by their mentors, and the mentors include Sridhar Prabhuraman, Romit Kavre, and Shlok Nimani, who are also going to be leading. So Sridhar is going to be leading one of the presentations today. Besides, we are also delighted to host an esteemed panel of assessors. We have with us Mr. Pradeep Shah, who is the owner of India Asia Fund Advisor Private Limited, also the chairman of BASF and Pfizer. We will also be joined by Mr. P.V. Krishnan, who is a partner at Siri Investment Trust, and he's a former MD of Goldman Sachs India, and of course, Advocate Hemant V. Chauhan from Pune District and Bombay High Court. We are also happy to have the interns who have joined us today, and the other interns who will going forward make the presentation. So before we begin, we would like to showcase some testimonials from our interns. As part of MRC's vision to create awareness and capacity in the underwater domain, we launched the UDA Learning Center, a platform to equip the young minds with the proper knowledge and skills. So what you are about to see is a glimpse of how the vision is turning into a reality. And these testimonials reflect not only the learning outcomes, but also the passion and potential of the next generation of the underwater professionals. Over the past few months, our interns and learners have gained not just the technical knowledge, but also the deeper understanding about the underwater domain awareness. Before we continue, we'd like to showcase to you a short testimonial video featuring them discuss their journey with us. I'd request Shreya to play the video for all of us.
So, one of the contents which have stood out to me is the UDA framework and the information regarding the tropical waters. It has actually offered me a very structured perspective on how we can integrate science, technology, and all the international policies to strengthen maritime strategy.
Coming from a public policy background, I've often focused on land-based governance, but I realized how little I actually knew about what lied beneath the surface. The oceans are strategic, ecological, and geopolitical spaces, and I wanted to better understand their complexities. This course offered a window into that world in a way that felt both approachable yet deeply relevant to my academic work, and I absolutely applied what I learned, especially on my research on marine spatial planning. The course helped me understand the importance of integrating the underwater domain awareness into long-term policy planning.
This course has really changed the way I think about the ocean and how important they are for the future.
If I had to sum up my experience with the UDA Learning Center in one sentence, I'd say it gave me clarity on how the ocean floor isn't just a physical space, but a policy and security frontier we need to take seriously.
And throughout the course, one moment that really clicked was realizing how Sonar isn't just about detection. It's also very much about understanding the ocean and its creatures as a living dynamic system.
And I guarantee to anyone interested in learning more about the UDA framework, this course will provide a very comprehensive and holistic experience about the UDA framework, addressing both its practicality and ground realities of the marine ecosystems, and also provide a detailed walkthrough demonstration of how to use these digital tools that can be used to map these ecosystems. Thank you.
Shreya. So these were some of the testimonials that that prove the fact that UDA Learning Center has been developed by the internal team at MRC in a very progressive way. And I just share my screen to showcase Pradeep sir and others who've joined us today, how the UDA Learning Center looks at the front end. So this is the platform that we call as the UDA Learning Center, and we have featured courses on topics related to the underwater domain awareness. The first one that you can see is on the basics of the underwater world, which is also hosted on the Capacity Building Commission of India's website called Karmiyogi IGOT platform, which is accessed by the the people from the bureaucratic background. And we also have the courses hosted on topics related to underwater radiated noise, blue economy, sediment management, digital transformation, and others which are on climate change risk assessment, etc. So yes, this was about the learning center, and now I would move on to the main part of the event. So before I welcome Arnab sir to make his remarks, I would like to give some guidelines to the interns who have to make their presentation. Please make sure to introduce yourself at the beginning of the webinar and make sure that you respect the time which has been allocated to you. Make your presentation within the time limit of 8 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes, like give 1 minute to the transition so that the next person can take over. So with that, I would request Dr. Commander Arnab Das, who's the founder and director of the Maritime Research Center, to share the welcome remarks with all of us. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Nishtha. Thank you so much, our esteemed panelist, Pradeep Shah sir, Mr. P.V. Krishna, Hemant Chavan sir, Prafulji always. And I would also like to thank our interns and research fellows. This time, this year, I mean, we've been doing this for about 4 or 5 years now in a more serious way. But this year we had changed the pattern to our research fellows mentoring the, rather than me or Sridhar directly interacting with the interns, we had our research fellows. I would like to talk about them also because I think the contribution they made has been definitely very, very significant. Shlok Nemani, who is a BTech from IIT Bombay, electrical engineering, but he has been with us for almost 3 to 4 years now, working on the coastal management. Then Romit, civil engineer from IIT Delhi, now also pursuing his PhD from IIT Delhi. He's been with us for, again, 3-4 years, he joined us as an intern like this, but then continued with us, and he has been working on the sediment management. Significant progress they have made in terms of driving this. Catherine joined us again 3-4 years back. Both of us were part of a project, but she looks at, I mean, she's from the St. Stephen's and Ashoka University and Shivnada University, looking at the policy side of things. And of course, Sridhar, Deputy Director, Maritime Research Center, data analyst. Sridhar and me have been together right from the beginning. So these are the 4 major mentors who have been kind of driving these projects. And I'm sure all of you will agree that this year the project has been at a different level. Just want to quickly share, I will not take any time. The projects basically populate the UDA framework that we've been driving. So each of the projects that you will see or we missed in the previous presentation last month and what is going to come by end of this month. So they populate the smaller cubes that we talk about. So all our panelists will get a sense of how we are driving this UDA framework. And we have added economics also this time. So there are interns who are working on the economic model also. And today we are very happy to have a very esteemed set of panelists who will be looking at this and giving us some guidance from their side. So I think, Nishtha, I will stop here and hand it over back to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks for your welcome remark. With this, we'll move on to the next part of the discussion. And right now we have with us Sridhar Prabharaman, who is the Deputy Director at the Maritime Research Center. So a little bit about Sridhar. He brings over 6 years of experience in the underwater acoustics at Maritime Research Center. And he completed his master's in artificial intelligence from one of the prestigious universities in the world. And in his current role, Sridhar oversees the engineering and leads the pioneering projects at MRC. And these projects aim to bolster the maritime situational awareness and support the sustainable marine resource management in the underwater world. So over to you, Sridhar.
Thank you. Thank you, Nishta, and a very warm welcome to everyone. Um, Today, on behalf of MRC, will be giving a quick rundown of the innovation portfolio that we have in MRC, um, given the 10-minute time limit that I have. Um, as Arnab sir explained about the UDA framework, here I'd like to try and justify how we realize that UDA framework and what is the flow that we take into account. So there are four strategic pillars of innovation when we talk about innovation at MRC: science and research, technology development, policy governance, and capacity building. And each of these pillars support each other. So the base foundation is obtained via the science and research work. Then we develop applications on top of that, trying to meet the real world requirements. Then that enables sustainable policy governance, not rather than being a reactive policy, more of a actionable policy governance that enables. And lastly, the capacity building is basically our way of giving back to the community and basically helping the community from all the things that we have learned. Um, so starting with science and research, just to throw a few numbers here, MRC has 52 peer-reviewed publications in journals that are index journals that are present throughout the globe, and 128 publications as part of research notes that are contributed by our interns and engineers and fellows as well. This we have been doing for the past 6 years, and we are working on this across 9 separate domains. Domains being AUV design and development, sonar simulation, shipping noise mapping, sediment management, climate change and environmental impact studies, collision avoidance, navigation system, and much more. And all of this is when we say interns, these interns belong to some of the most premier institutes across the globe, not just India, and they are multidisciplinary in nature. They come from multiple backgrounds, from arts, finance, engineering, pure science, and so on. As you hear the interns in the past as well as in the upcoming and today's webinar, you'll realize the difference in the projects and the wide domains that they touch upon. Now, we take extreme pride in the work that we do. However, given that time limit, we won't be able to go through every research that we have performed. However, just to give a quick recap of the presentations that were showcased in the last part of the webinar, to basically help and understand the breadth of the work that is happening by interns at MRC, because today is all about interns. Some of the projects that we have undertaken this year is being dark ship detection and classification, basically using the SAR images, satellite images, to understand where the ships are present, and using and collaborating that with the AIS data, which is basically a transponder data that is received by the port, and collaborating that to understand which of the ships that is present here, that is present in the region, is a dark ship, which is dark ship as in they have turned the AIS transponder off and there is no way for us to track them. So we use satellite images, we capture those, we categorize those ships, and we try to identify whether they are fishing vessels or they are large cargo vessels. And this is extremely crucial from a maritime security perspective, because most of the threats that we see today, it's coming from the waterway, be it the 2611 attack or otherwise. Potential fishing zone identifications, our interaction with the coastal communities have enabled us to identify that there is a requirement where we need to help the community back in identifying the fishing zones, where potentially they can perform sustainable fishing practices. Sediment bed load prediction using satellite, AI-based sound transmission loss estimation. This is again a very extremely important work that we are doing, wherein we're using a neural network to estimate the sound transmission loss. So whenever a ship or any kind of sound signal gets transmitted in the underwater, existing mathematical models takes a lot of time for computation, because there is a lot of, we need to take the environmental factors into consideration. There are a whole lot of computation that goes into picture in this one. But with the advent of AI, this allows us to train a model specific to a particular region, and as a result of which we get quick results, to give a performance analysis from 15 minutes to 15 seconds, kind of a difference in execution time, is what we basically saw. The graph that you can see on the top right, it represents that what we have predicted, which is basically the blue dot, is also mapping with the ideal chart that we see from the existing mathematical models per se. Sediment classification in Ujjaini Reservoir, understanding what kind of sediment bedload is there and what is the type of the sediment is extremely important, whether it is a clay silt or sandy silt and so on. Safeguarding the undersea cables, again, it's an extremely crucial issue that has been present in the community today. Understanding where the undersea cables are present and how we can safeguard them further is one more work that has been happening. Now, this was all about the research work, the initial work that we do. Again, there's a lot more work than this as I represented here. But all of this research then goes ahead and we basically create a tool out of these things. Again, all of these tools that we create are cloud-based. It is optimized with artificial intelligence and it is community-driven. What I mean by that is that we reach back to the community, we take inputs from them, and we make sure that it is something that is usable by the community and it is important, and it gives them advantage. Uh, two of the notable tools is shrimp farming. One is for shrimp farming. Shrimp farming, again, India being one of the largest exporter of shrimps, it's extremely important. We have a huge economic growth potential in that particular region. So an area productive and yield analysis tool which tells exactly how much increase in the accuracy can happen and, for a particular shrimp in the given region, given their environmental parameters. And this will essentially reduce the input of cost because they will not increase the feed, because they know that increasing the feed will not yield them the kind of results that they are hoping for. And it enables evidence-based aquaculture farming. The other tool is the SRN estimation tool. We'll play a small video at the end of my presentation to explain further on this one. This is again some work that we have recently finished and we are very proud of. I won't take too much time on this one either. But essentially a tool that allows you to estimate the noise in real time and understand the historical noise based upon a whole lot of, again, the environmental parameters, where the ship is present, what is the wind in the particular region, and so on. We take all of that into factor and then we estimate the noise level. So again, the SRN tool that you can see here is what we have, and it basically allows you to correlate the presence of ship in the region and what is the overall noise level that is being generated by the ships. And we do this for multiple frequency ranges and across the whole Indian Ocean region area. Now, the biggest ever project that we have built upon, and we are in the almost final stages of finishing this one, is the Marine Spatial Planning Toolkit, which essentially allows you to collaborate all kinds of information. As I said, we have developed a lot of toolkits in the past, and this one particular tool allows to encompass everything in a single place, in a single area, where you can basically see what is the ship noise, where is the acoustic habitat. So imagine understanding what kind of ship noise is there in the region, and also being able to look at what is the migration patterns and the habitat of blue whales, and a lot of more information. What are the ships and ports? Where are the undersea cables and pipelines laid out? One particular interface where you can see all of that. It helps a lot in policy governance. It helps a lot in terms of understanding the environmental impact assessment for any kind of construction projects or otherwise. So we see, marine spatial planning is not just something that we have picked up. This has been something that is being globally driven by the IMO, and MRC is proud to be part of the Indian team that is part of this IMO initiative, the Glow Noise initiative. Coming to the policy governance, again, whatever we generate from whatever we create a tool out of, that enables us to create policies. MRC has, again, we have provided policy recommendations as part of India for MEPC 76 and 81, and as you can see, underwater noise is something that has been taken into consideration. So the idea that I'm trying to print out is that we need tools. So science enables tools, and these kind of tools enables us to understand what kind of impact does shipping noise have, and that enables us to then perform policy recommendations. Now, beyond just the shipping noise and marine spatial planning, we also are doing case study on geoeconomics for UDA and IOR, accounting framework for blue economy in UDA, and Brahmaputra basin river management, and a whole lot of other policy works that we have published in our platforms. Now, lastly, again, as I said, we need to give back to the community. We need to understand how the community and we need to increase the awareness. It is not just about us doing some work, but it is also about teaching or increasing the awareness to youngsters and other interested stakeholders alike. And so we have three platforms, which is extremely crucial. The UDA Digest, which is an open access general public platform. Anyone can access these. We have 120 plus articles present here, which is essentially written by experts and interns and everyone. And these are all in a very not so nuanced and technical, but rather more in terms of easily understandable way, while still showcasing the importance of underwater domain awareness. This is the UDA Digest platform that anyone I would request can visit. Then we have the UDA Knowledge Center. So all the research work that we have done, everything is again present in open access as research articles, technical articles with results and conclusions and everything that is present as a UDA Knowledge Center platform. Again, everyone has access to it, and this basically enables not just us, but also for the few interns and the students who are coming to us, they also refer to these kind of technical notes to see what has happened in the past and allows us to build on top of that. Lastly, we have Learning Center. Again, Nishta has already represented it. Whatever we have created, we create courses on top of that and all those things. And these are not just for basics of underwater world, but everything climate change, shipping noise mapping, blue economy. All of these courses are added to our UDA Learning Center, and it allows anyone to access and learn more about underwater domain awareness, which is something that we as a country definitely needs to take the pioneering effort of. Lastly, we have done a lot of field visits and community engagement where we reach to Gujarat, we travel coastline, we try to understand what is the requirement of the farmers. We give them the ship APY tool that I showcased. We basically tell them what the tool we have, how this can help them, and we received some really good feedback from them and the usage for this particular tool. So yes, I finished this here with my 10-minute time. With climate change, geopolitics, and technological shifts converging, we must lead UDA innovation. We are aptly placed in the IOR for the same. And at MRC, we aren't just ready, we have already built the foundation for this particular work. Now, just to give a quick sneak peek of one of the tools that we have recently built, this is production ready and available for anyone to use at this moment.
What if the ocean isn't as silent as it seems? Every day, global shipping fleets generate massive underwater noise, unseen, unheard by us, but deeply disruptive to marine life. This noise pollution affects not just whales and dolphins, it impacts the entire marine ecosystem. But now we have a way to measure it, manage it, and reduce it with science. Introducing the Shipping Radiated Noise Estimation Tool, or SRN tool, from the Maritime Research Center, Pune, a smart AI-powered platform that turns raw shipping data into actionable underwater noise insights. The SRN tool uses advanced AI models built on published research by MRC to calculate how ship-generated noise spreads underwater, a process called transmission loss. It considers real-world conditions like water depth, temperature, salinity, and seabed structure. This makes the tool accurate, not just visually impressive. The cumulative noise map lets you explore long-term trends, pick a region and a date range, and instantly visualize average underwater noise levels anywhere in the ocean. Live ship data is integrated, so you always know which vessel is contributing what and where. Need a live snapshot. The instantaneous noise map shows real-time noise levels with bathymetric layers that reveal how ocean depth affects noise propagation. Every estimate is backed by AI-driven models built by MRC. No generic guesses, but science-based predictions grounded in years of research. And the applications, they go far beyond just protecting marine mammals. Deploying underwater sensors, SRN helps find low noise zones for better data. Conducting an environmental impact assessment, SRN gives you the noise exposure data you need. Formulating regulations or standards, SRN shows exactly where noise exceeds acceptable limits. This tool is a backbone for smart, science-based ocean governance. Download custom maps, export datasets, or generate reports. It's all just a few clicks away. Built for the cloud, the SRN tool works from anywhere. You don't need specialized hardware, just a browser. By making underwater noise visible, the SRN tool gives us a chance to act, to plan better, regulate smarter, and protect deeper. All thanks to cutting-edge AI, open research, and the vision of the Maritime Research Center, Pune. The ocean has been quiet for too long. Now it's time to listen.
Right. And with that, I'll end my presentation. I hope that was insightful. Thank you. Thanks, Nishta. I'll give it back to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Sridhar. Thank you for your holistic yet a crisp presentation to showcase the innovative projects that are being driven by the MRC team. It gave a very broad understanding of all the major projects and innovation tools that are being developed by the team internally. So with this, I think we'll move on to the next segment, wherein we will have the presentations from the group one. And in group one, we have with us Mohammad Nasser Siddiqui. He's from IIT Kanpur, and he's an undergrad from IIT Kanpur, and he's going to be making a presentation on the project, the topic of his project, which is Habitat Suitability Model on Marine Spatial Planning. Over to you, Nasser.
Hello. So good evening, everyone. I am Mohammad Nasser Siddiqui, summer intern at Maritime Research Center and also a BTech graduate from IIT Kanpur. I have been working on the habitat suitability model for marine spatial planning with the guidance of Sridhar sir. The Indian Ocean region is the heart of the maritime trade, handling approx 40% of the global trade. Major economies supported by our oceans are fishing, which account for about 1.5% of the global GDP, tourism about 5%, and maritime trade contributes 2% of the global GDP and 80% of trade by volume, and employs millions of people worldwide. We have been exploiting our ocean without any policies or any data-driven mechanism, so which leads to major consequences like about 1 lakh of fishes dies because of fish strikes and uninformed fishing patterns waste fuels and effort with losses summing up to 50 billion according to World Bank 2017 report. So what we have, the solution is that we have been proposed is a habitat suitability model which works upon the AI. We collect the relevant data from the satellite and model it uh, using the AI technologies that we have. So with proper policy and implementation, this can act as a shield for the maritime species. So it works on the basic principle of every ML model, like collecting the relevant data, modeling it, and using the result for the better use of the humanity. Let's go through an example. Like for the one of the most ecological important species is the green turtle. So for the green turtle, according to my research, I have come up with the 4 important features that affect the suitability of the green turtles. Like the sea surface temperature, they prefer usually the 27 to 30 degree centigrade for their foraging or the nesting ground. Bathymetry, like the depth from the ocean bed, it's about less than 50 meters. Net primary productivity, which is a drive factor including all the food resources for the herbivore species. And next is the chlorophyll, which is a substitute for the concentration of seagrass and algae. So after gathering all these data from the NOAA website, the Google Earth Engine, or the OBIS, which is used for getting the sighting data, the latitude and longitude from which we get the sighting data of the green turtle. So after all this, I have constructed a maximum entropy model, which because it's very convenient to for the presence only data, since we have only presence data. So based on the presence data and the environmental factor, it chooses the best best curve for that conditions. So after modeling it, we have the results like the one in shown in the left is the suitability model for the green turtles, where the dark blue region and the blue region corresponds to the minimum probability, like less than 0.4, and the region in red or blue is the high probability. From this we can infer that the green turtles usually prefer in the near shore regions, like in the coast of India and Thailand, Comparing this with sound map given on the top right, we can inform that where the region is like in the sound map yellowish, like less sound, turtle usually prefer that location. Next, I have also similarly modeled a dolphin habitat suitability model where one of the important features was the fishing effort. Like dolphins usually avoid where there are high vessel deployment or high rate of fishing. Bathymetry, like they usually prefer bathymetry of less than 50 meters. Shore distance, like the distance from the coast. Since dolphins are friendly to humans, so they prefer coast distance like less than 50 kilometers. And the seabed index, like something like a slope, like higher the seabed index, more the concentration of fishes, so more their presence. Similarly, I have modeled the dolphins using the habitat, using the maximum entropy model. So the result that I am getting is a heat map where the region in the blue shows a less probability and the brighter region like yellow and yellow, green or red shows the higher probability. Comparing it with the fishing effort map given on the bottom right, we can see that where the fishing effort is low, there the dolphins probability is high. So there has been a lot of recently the world has felt the importance of these maps. According to the Guardian, Sri Lanka uses them to shift fishing site from Wales to about 50 kilometers away. In 2021, Cambridge releases a press for SHM to be used as a conservation tool. And similarly, a research report has been published for using HSM as a climate assessment work. The habitat suitability heat map that have been generated can also be used as a conservation tool which support smart maritime protected areas, enable global policy compliance, and empowers government decision making. Not only as a climate tool, but it can also bridge between the economy and the ecology, which direct fishing efforts to productive zones. Like from this, we can analyze the suitability of the mammals of the marine species. Similarly, we can afford our fishing towards that location. It minimizes fish strikes and industrial overlaps. Supports tourism by identifying hotspot of species. What's the novelty, like what's the uh, uniqueness that I am bring is like it focuses on the Indian Ocean region, policy driven output, and it shows the real time heat map using satellite data. So in future, this real time satellite data inference can be used to predict migratory patterns by analyzing the heat map for every year, and also for a climate change assessment impact. So thank you. That was
Yeah, sir. Uh, Next, we'll move on to Atharv Agarwal from IIT Delhi, and he's going to be making a presentation on the topic estimating ROC for passive sonar simulator. Atharv, you can take over.
Thank you. A very good evening to one and all present here. My name is Atharv Agrawal. I am a third year electrical engineering student at IIT Delhi and working as a research engineer at MRC. I have worked under Shlok sir on the topic of whale call detection in underwater acoustic recordings and estimating the ROC for passive sonar simulation. Now, talking about the project objectives, in the underwater environment, there are several sounds. These sounds include the dolphin sounds, the whale sounds, ship sounds, and unwanted noises as well. So we want to detect and separate these different kind of sounds. And why does this matter? Because it will help in estimating the ROC for passive sonar simulation along with the synthetic sound generation, and mainly will help in the marine biology research task. Talking about the problem statement in detail, the challenge is since these recordings are noisy and mixed, it is very difficult to separate them from the ship noises and other marine life and ambient ocean sounds, which is considered as a significant hurdle. Our goal will be to develop a robust classifier which is capable of accurately predicting the presence or absence of a whale call in any given audio clip. The features which we will be using will be considered of the .aiff audio files for the sampling rate of 2 to 48 kilohertz which are recorded from hydrophones, and the target which we will be focusing on will be the binary labels of a whale call or a non-whale call. The evaluation metrics will be the receiver operating characteristic area under curve, the ROC AUC, which I will be showcasing for the results in the end, which we have obtained on our data. Talking about the practical application, it will help to a large extent to avoid several collisions between the vessels and the whales by alerting the vessels in advance for the existence of some whales in their paths, and will help in marine biodiversity monitoring along with the autonomous ocean systems. And not to forget, it will help a lot in supporting the marine research because it will reduce the manual labor of signal analysis and will automate it. But wait, what is unique about this project? There have been several projects like this. In the traditional way of identifying these sounds, they have done for some separate structures. But what we have done is that we have mixed the cepstral as well as the spectral features, leveraging the MFCCs and the spectral centroid and bandwidth. And the model which we have used for the training set is the random forest method. It is a low complexity model which we have chosen because the easy practical integration of that model. But how does this project basically fits in the UDA framework? It will help in the passive sonar based signal intelligence along with the real time detection in noisy marine environments. And it will help and lay foundation for the integration of the marine mammal detection into naval and civilian acoustic monitoring systems. Talking about how we have collected the data is collected from hydrophones as the raw signals from underwater environment. These were the analog signals which were then converted to the digital signals. What we have done is we have taken the amplitudes at the sampling rate, understanding them in an easier term. Let's say we have a 2 second of audio file and we have a sampling rate of 16,000 hertz per second. So for 2 seconds, the total samples of amplitudes which we have covered are the 32,000, and the sampling rate actually which we have used varies from 2 kilohertz to 48 kilohertz. And these samples which we have collected over 30,000 other clips. Also, please be aware that we have used the pre-processing for the pre-segmented clips of consistent duration. Now, the model which we have used, we need to train and we need to extract certain features from those amplitudes so that we can train our model. So the question arises, which feature to choose, why to choose, and why not to choose the other. The major features which I have chosen are the MFCCs, which I will be talking in detail in the next slide. The spectral centroid, what is it and why we have chosen this? It is considered as the center of mass of the audio spectrum, and it gives insight into the brightness or the pitch perception of the sound, which helps in distinguishing the tonal patterns. Also, another spectral feature which we have used is the bandwidth. Again, why? Because it gives the richness or the quantify the richness or the complexity of the sound, which is useful for differentiating the narrow band calls, because it is something what we call as the spread of the frequency content around the spectral centroid which we have calculated. All these features we have averaged and taken per clip, and then we have trained our model based on that for easier detections. As I said, talking about the MFCCs in detail, they stand for the male frequency cepstral coefficients. They are total 13 in number which are obtained. And as you can see in the heat map, there's a whole lot of complex process to evaluate from the fast Fourier transform to the discrete cosine transform which we take. But for easy visualization for each right whale call and the non-whale call, you can see in the heat map the redder areas show the higher values of the MFCCs. The rows are 13, and on the x-axis we can see the time. The redder areas are the higher values of the MFCCs, where the blue areas on the non-whale call represents the lower values of the MFCCs. This shows a consistent pattern for the whale calls and the non-whale calls. This sequence converts raw audio into a compact representation that emphasizes perceptually significant details. So the total features which we have used are the 13 MFCC features, the spectral bandwidth, and the spectral centroid. So total 15 features we have used. Now, among these 15 features, it is very important before we train our ML model to see the correlation. So what does this mean? It basically indicates if the correlation between two variables is high, then it would lead to overfitting. Like, for example, if there are two variables which have a correlation greater than 0.7, we can drop one of them so that it does not lead to overfitting in our model. So as you can see, all the values which are present are significantly less than 0.7, and our values are good to go for the model. Talking as the combined rate of visualization for the MFCCs, this graph is obtained not for one sound sample, but for combined 32,000 samples by taking the vector average. The blue uh, graphs represents the non-whale calls, whereas the red graphs represent the whale calls. And the interpretation I would like to tell you is that these are the separate distributions which we have seen together in order to distinguish them. And the overlaps which you can see are higher on the higher MFCC side, like the MFCC 13, 12, 11, 10, but they are lower on the 1, 2, 3, etc. Also, you can see the non-whale calls are much more symmetric, whereas the whale calls are much more skewed, and they have the skewed distributions. Now, why we have chosen the random forest model? What is the use of that? So first of all, let's understand what is random forest. It is like if I have an audio file, I am giving it to certain n groups of people, of intellectuals, and I am asking for votes, whether is it a whale call or a non-whale call. So these groups is what we call as the decision trees, and they are trained on the random probability vectors of the inputs. That's why the word random comes. And these trees in a whole vote whether it is a whale or a non-whale call, and then these trees combinedly make a forest, and that's where the word random forest comes from. And it helps to reduce the noise and overfitting. Also, since we are using the 15 vectors, 15 sized vectors, the 13 MFCCs, the spectral bandwidth, and the spectral centroid, it is a small to medium sized data, and random forest works perfectly on that. Talking about the training set, it was a traditional 80-20 split, where the 80% of the data set was used to train the model, whereas the 20% was used to test the model. Talking about the results, you can see the score which we obtained was 0.89. This strong performance indicates the model's significance ability to generalize across various noise conditions and a diverse range of whale call types, effectively distributing them for the background environment. But wait, what is the future work? The future work will mainly depend on estimating the ROC for the passive sonar simulation, along with synthetic signal generation, which will help in the research areas for some undistinguished sounds which we have received and we have less in number. Along with that, we will be focusing on the field deployment, the real-time detection with embedded systems, along with ocean-deployed hydrophone networks with cloud processing, helping in future advanced research in this domain. Also, the advanced modeling approaches using the CNNs, RNNs, and the transformers will greatly contribute to the research. Thank you and have a nice day. Kindly feel free to reach out to me at atharv.mrc@udafoundation.in. Thank you.
Thanks, Atharv.
Thank you, Athar. With this, we'll move on to the next presentation, which will be made by Atul Mangal. He's from IIT Delhi again. And the topic of his presentation is Modeling and Simulation Framework for Brahmaputra region. So, Atul, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Atul Mangal. I am a third-year chemical engineering student at IIT Delhi. I am working as a research intern with Shlock at Maritime Research Center. Today, I am going to present my ongoing project titled Modeling and Simulation Framework from Brahmaputra Basin. First, let me brief you about the outlines. I will start with an introduction to the Brahmaputra River Basin and its importance. Next, I will discuss the opportunities and challenges within the basin. After that, I will focus on climate change impacts on inland fisheries of the region. Then I will explain our research objectives and modeling approach. Then I will briefly discuss the challenges we faced and our proposed future work. Let's begin with the introduction. The Brahmaputra is a transboundary river, flows through Tibet, India, and Bangladesh, with its basin extending to Bhutan. It supports nearly 130 million people across its coast. The basin is rich in biodiversity and home to more than 216 inland fish species. It covers about 5.9% of India's geographical area and plays a vital role in agriculture, food production, and inland fisheries. In 2023-24 alone, it contributed more than 5.5 lakh metric tons of inland fish. It is also important inland waterway. In 24-25, around 9 lakh tons were transported through national waterway too. Now, let us look at the key opportunities present in the basin. First, the hydropower potential. The basin has the highest hydropower potential in India, about 66,000 megawatts. Big projects like Upper Siang and Dibang dams are planned, and the government has approved the funds to add around 31,000 megawatt of capacity by 2032. Second, fisheries and aquaculture. There are plans to boost fish production with modern hatcheries and better cold storage. This will create local jobs and cut fish imports. About 2,100 crores, about 2,100 crore have been approved for fisheries project in the northeast. Third, inland waterways. Efforts are on to develop river tourism and ecology friendly cruises on National Waterway 2. Over 1,100 crores has been set aside for new terminals, ship repair, and ferry services to improve transport and livelihoods. Together, these opportunities can help grow the region's economy. However, the basin is facing multiple interconnected challenges. Environmentally, the region is prone to frequent flooding, severe riverbank erosion, sedimentation, and increasing pollution. These issues are being intensified by climate change, which is making extreme weather events more common and unpredictable. Socioeconomically, the area struggles with poor infrastructure, high population pressure, poverty, and unsustainable fishing practices, all of which add stress to the ecosystem and the people depending on it. Geopolitically, the situation is complicated by transboundary disputes, the construction of upstream dams, and the limited regional cooperation, especially between neighboring countries. Among all the challenges, climate change stands as one of the most urgent threats. The region is highly climate sensitive, and we are already seeing the effects. Rising temperatures, erratic rainfall patterns, and frequent flooding are damaging fish ponds, breeding habitats, and landing sites. Along with these, warmer temperatures are disturbing fish breeding cycles. If you look at the bar graph here, it shows the GSI for the Hilsa fish. You can see that the GSI is highest from October to February, which means that the reproduction is higher when the temperatures are lower. This shows a negative correlation between the temperature and the breeding activity. Another major impact is the shifting of the species composition. The total inland fish catch in Guwahati region increased from about 56,000 kg in 1975 to over 1 lakh kg in 2010. But if you look at the two graphs below, you can see an important change. The left graph shows the total catch in kilograms for each fish group. The right graph shows the same data as a percentage share. Notice how the bars for major calves and Hilsa are higher in 1975 but drops in 2010. At the same time, the bars for the minor calves are much bigger in 2010 compared to 1975. This means high value fish stocks are declining while low value species are increasing. This shift impacts both ecological balance and the incomes of local fishing communities. So, what is our research objective for this project? Our primary goal is to develop a modeling and simulation framework that can help us understand the Brahmaputra ecosystem. We aim to model key parameters like climate variability, hydrological factors, and ecological aspects. Then we will integrate this into a broader policy framework for sustainable development. For now, the current focus is on modeling the impact of climate change on inland fisheries. Now, one question arises, why does this modeling framework actually work? Look at the two graphs. On the left, you can see that temperature has increased over the years, fish production has dropped. On the right, you will see a similar trend. Lower rainfall is linked to falling fish catch. These graphs use data from Bangladesh, which shares the Brahmaputra ecosystem, so the trends downstream help us validate climate risks in Assam and Northeast India. It is same river system after all. That's why using this kind of regional data makes our model more accurate and relevant. Now, let me explain the modeling approach. We use a range of data sets, including historical reports of temperature, rainfall, and fish production. This includes time series, state-wise, and species-specific inland fish data to capture long-term climate fishery linkage. Now, let's talk about the methodology. We are building a black box model that uses historical data on fish production, temperature, and rainfall as input. It maps climate variables to fish production without needing detailed biological or ecological information. The model helps us identify key relations and generate predictive insights to support better governance of inland fisheries. Ultimately, the goal is to quantify how climate is impacting the fisheries sector in the region. So let's talk about the climate changes we are currently facing. First, the challenges we are facing. First, data ability is a major issue. As you can see in the left and right tables, we have mostly state-wise fish production data, and species-specific records are limited to specific years. This makes it tough to track long-term trends. Now, look at the bottom table. The rainfall is grouped for Assam and Meghalaya division, so we cannot isolate the changes at the smaller scales. Other challenges include difficulties in quantifying extreme climatic events and isolating climatic impacts from factors like overfishing. To overcome these challenges, we have mapped out our future tasks. First, we will build a dataset for historical time series, temperature, rainfall, and fish stock for multiple fish harbors in Assam. Next, we will train our model on these datasets and interpret the results to identify key trends and correlations. Then, we will validate the model by collecting ground data through site visits and fieldwork. We can expand the model by incorporating hydrological data for water flood sensitivity. We can refine it by including other relevant parameters that affect fish stocks. Lastly, we hope to engage with policymakers to apply this research in a real world for sustainable management and planning. We hope the insights from this modeling effort will help to contribute better planning, conservation, and sustainable development in the region. That's all from my side. Thank you so much for your attention. If you have any questions, please let me know.
If the audience has any question, please feel free to drop in your questions in the chat box or comment if you feel like. And now we have Ashwini Kumar Singh from IIT Kanpur, who's going to make a presentation on the topic modeling and simulation framework for Konkan Coast. Ashwini, you're not audible and your presentation is not up there on the screen.
You're muted. Ashwini, you're muted.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Am I audible?
Yes. Yes, now you are.
The screen is visible.
Yes, the screen is visible, but the presentation, now your presentation is visible. Yeah.
Okay. So, hello everyone. Myself Ashwani Singh. I am from Department of Civil Engineering at IIT Kanpur. Currently, here I'm working as summer intern at MRC. So, currently what I'm doing is I'm modeling, my topic is modeling and simulation for the Konkan Coast. So, let's begin with this. So, these are the table of contents we'll be exploring further in our slides. Yeah. So, firstly, why Konkan Coast? What's the significance of the Konkan Coast? So, Konkan Coast has the vital maritime region stretching about 720 kilometers throughout the western coastline of Maharashtra, with its key district includes Mumbai, Raigad, Ratnagiri, and Sindhudurg, which you can see in the map here of the Konkan Coast. Then, Konkan Coast amounts for around 41% of Maharashtra's overall GDSP for financial year 2016, with around 28.6 million people living in around the region around Konkan Coast, according to 2011 census. Along with this, Konkan is responsible for around 70% of the overall maritime trade that is happening all over the country, with around more than 350,000 fisher folk associated with the Konkan Coast. So there are some of the few strategic locations that are around the Konkan Coast. Let's talk about them. The first one is Mumbai Coast. Mumbai is also known as the economic powerhouse for financial and industrial reasons due to its strategic location. In financial year 2025, the GDP of Mumbai is estimated to be about 278 billion US dollars, which amounts for around 6.16% of India's total GDP, making it one of the most important strategic locations throughout the whole country, with around 22 million people living in Mumbai region. Along with this, Mumbai also has two major ports, Mumbai Port Trust and Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust, which handles around 70% of India's overall maritime trade. And Mumbai has even also helped India to climb up its PMI index to 58.1 due to its economic activities. And then second one we have is Ratnagiri. Ratnagiri is also known as agricultural and industrial hub on Konkan coast. So the GDP of Ratnagiri is around 23,000 crore in 24-25, which amounts for around 1% of overall Maharashtra's economy. And other sectors in Konkan coast, Ratnagiri is also showing rapid growth, which we can see in the data here. Along with this, Ratnagiri is also known for its fish production. The annual production of fish in 2020-2021 was around 65,000 tons, and with 46 fish landing centers in Ratnagiri. Ratnagiri also has two major ports, Jaigarh Port and Dabhol Port, which handles around 0.57 million tons of cargo in 2021. And recently, our MRC team has visited to Ratnagiri and have some insights. Like they were there for testing the API tool, which they found was very feasible, and they had positive outcomes from there. They also personally have seen the struggles of the fishermen and the fisher folk associated there due to the very economic instability. So let's talk about what's the purpose of this, why, how government is interested in all these things, and what are the problems they are facing. This is the map showing about Maharashtra. In financial year 2021 to 2022, the government Department of Finance has sanctioned around 220 crores of money to develop the Konkan coast to focus on blue economy. And even they have the Sagarmala initiative in which they are investing around 1,12,000 crore of rupees to develop the Konkan region. But some of the key problems that we are facing are the climate issues. Some of the major climate issues are like temperature rise, ocean acidification, phytoplankton decline, urban flooding, and pollution. Let's discuss them in detail. So first we talk about the temperature rise. As we all know, the temperature is decreasing day by day more and more. These are the current graph of some past few years, which clearly shows the average temperature rise, and this is also happening for the oceans also. And what this is leading to is it encourages soil erosion and sea level rise. Around 37% of Ratnagiri coastline is currently considered as the high risk for erosion due to this. And even this the around 50% of fish catches decline is observed in some of the major regions of Konkan due to temperature rise. This not only affect this, but also affects the agriculture and horticulture that is around the coast. Like the Alfonso mango yield was dropped from 30 to 75% from 2020 to 2025 due to this unseasonal heat, and also has affected the rain-fed agriculture that is dependent on this coastal region. Then there comes the ocean acidification. Ocean absorbs around 25% of the overall atmospheric CO2, and which day by day is causing to decrease the pH level of the oceans. With about, if like this assume, if 0.3% of the pH drops in ocean, then this leads to around 30% of marine biodiversity loss. So, and day by day, this is happening. Like overall, globally, the pH is declining by 0.00 units per year globally. So, this is also affecting the maritime ecosystem as in the Konkan belt around 79 marine species are now have categorized as endangered species. And this also leads to a lot of socio-economic impacts, affect the food security and selfish farming that has shows around 30 to 50% of lower larval survival due to acidification. These are the graphs showing the relation between the CO2 and seawater pH. As this shows, as the increase in amount of CO2, the pH decreases rapidly in past few years. Then comes the phytoplankton decline. Phytoplankton are the microorganisms responsible uh, for uh, for carbon sequestration and then nutrient recyclement and plant for fishes to eat. But since the phytoplanktons are declining, it has led to the whole collapse of the food web that is around the Konkan coast, with around the same 79 marine species are now reported as endangered one. And it has also decreased to the decline of its catches, which is affecting the economy of the whole Konkan coast, and has also getting problem in nutrient recycling, as the phytoplankton recycles the nutrients and maintains the balance. Then the other problem is urban flooding. Due to the topography and the strategic location of Konkan coast and many districts around it, the urban flooding is very usual and is prone to happen in these areas. This happen. This leads to loss of problem like the loss of life, money, property, and then even the stagnant water or the flooding also causes the major health related issues. which is difficult. And there have been also some economic impact like loss of biodiversity and erosion due to the urban flooding. And there have been several incidents that have been reported of urban flooding in Konkan region, like the 2021 floods, which have led to a lot of life life loss. Yeah. So what we are currently looking is we are trying to model all these four parameters to derive some positive result. Like uh, we need to we'll take these things as input. We need to model this whole thing and give an output which will show like how the small change in these things will affect the future and affect the economy in different ways. Like just considering the fish collection, how the temperature increase or temperature or acidification will impact in how much quantity the fish collection and the fish stocks. So we are planning to give the predictive insights to the government to help them take the data-driven decisions to help the economy grow in sustainable manner. So what our model is doing, our model is taking few things as input like temperature rise, phytoplankton decline, ocean acidification, and pollution. Some of these variables are quantitative and some of are qualitative, like pollution. It's qualitative. We can't just quantify how much pollution is happening and what's the current level of pollution in oceans. So we are taking all these things in accounts and the current scenarios and giving it to model. And our model, what our model will do, will take consider this all the inputs and will based on past trends, it will predict like how much decline in fish productivity will happen. What are the major regions which we need to focus on? What are the locations where the fish decline will be more observed? What will be its economic impact? What will the climate changes that will be we've seen in future based on the past data? So these are the few outputs like what the model will give us. It will just give us some maps, graphs showing fish stock and biodiversity that will be changing and how gradually it will be changed in the future years. And it will help in identification of high risk zones where is the need for the government to focus right now. Yeah, this all from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ashwini.
Thanks, Ashwini. Next, can we have Adi Amruta to present on the topic of economic impact assessment for climate risk and coastal income? Adi Amruta comes from IIT Kanpur and he comes from the background of economics.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Adya, and today I will be covering the topic economic impact assessment of climate risk and coastal income, a UDA augmented analysis. I'm a summer research intern in Maritime Research Center, and I'm from IIT Kanpur. So let's get started. Yeah, I would be covering all these topics starting from India's coastline introduction, blue economy powerhouses, tide of challenges, problem statement, and then I would be discussing an UDA-based framework. So,
Adi, your presentation. Yes, your presentation is visible. You're not audible though, Adi. Can't hear you if you're trying to speak.
actually, I don't know. The presentation is not like moving forward. Like, just give me a please.
No worries, take your time.
Sure, we can go to the next intern and come back to her.
I can share, sir.
Yes, Shreya can help that.
Adi, you can stop your presentation and I will share yours.
Yeah, so starting with the India's coastline, where land meets opportunity. India has an extensive coastline which extends for about 11,098 kilometer long and ranks among the world's largest, spanning over 9 states and 2 union territories. The coastal areas drive about 4% of India's GDP, handling about 90% of external trades and generating about 8 billion from the fishing, aquaculture, and tourism sector. The coastline hosts crucial naval bases and strategic ports, vital for safeguarding Indian Ocean and sea lanes. And then we have 250 million people live along the coast, which is about 20% of India's population have their livelihood dependent on the coastline. And then rich Indian Ocean also supports a rich biodiversity and resources, supporting over a millions of livelihoods. The coast is a house to over 4,000 marine species. Can we move to the next slide, please? Let's talk about the blue economy, starting from the ports and trades. India has 12 major ports and around 200 non-major ports, which handles about 1,400 million tons of cargo. The maritime research support about 95% of India's trade by volume and 70% by value. And then we have the coastal tourism. The coastal states attract about 30% of India's foreign tourists, anchoring the country's beach and heritage tourism. And the coastal tourism offer a huge untapped potential to boost jobs and regional economies. And then we have the fishing and aquaculture sector. As India is the world's second largest fish producer, with total production of 195 lakh tons, the marine product exports reached about 7 billion in 2024, which is nearly a 10x increase since 2003, supporting 30 million livelihoods nationwide. Next slide, please. As we can see from this graph, there is a steady rise in the east and west coasts from the year 2002 to 2014, due to which we can bank on the fact that the coastal and marine tourism is projected to contribute about a significant 26% to India's booming blue economy. And India also recorded 9.52 million foreign tourist arrivals in 2023. After which we can see that government has also started taking initiatives like Sagarmala and Swadesh Darshan 2.0 and the Bharat Cruise Tourism Mission, which are actively developing coastal tourism infrastructure and promoting destinations. Due to which we can see some news headlines like can we move to the next slide, please? Due to which we can see Goa sees a 10.5% surge in tourist arrivals in Q1 of 2025, and Gujarat has also become the first state to join the Cruise Bharat mission. Next slide. Now let's have a look at India's port power. From this graph, we can see that the major cargo ports grew even after a dip in 2020 due to the COVID setback. Still, 9 of Indian ports made it to World's Bank top 100 list, where Visakhapatnam port soared to the 19th position globally. And India also saw a 2x growth in total income of major ports over a decade, from 11,760 crore to 24,200 crore, driven by modernization and a solid CAGR of 7.5%. Next slide, please. Now coming to the India's fisheries sector, which is also now a sunrise sector. India ranks as the world's second largest fish producer, with the total output rising at 8% CAGR. As we can see from the figure, most of the India's fish production growth is driven by the inland fisheries, due to which India's fish output has been doubled to 195 lakh tons over the 11 years. In the second graph, we can see the trend of percentage growth of GVA of fisheries, in which in 2017 to 18 there was a peak of 25% due to a disease breakout in Vietnam and which are the major competitor of India in seafood sector. This shows a promising growth despite a dip to 7.42% in 2020. Fisheries kept a strong CAGR about 9 to 10%, outpacing the agricultural sector, which is about 3 to 4%. Next slide, please. India has been a exporter in seafood sector, as we can clearly see from this graph that marine export has hit a USD of 8.7 billion in 2023 and has been growing at a CAGR of around 6%, strengthening India's foreign exchange earnings. In figure 2, we can see a market-wise export share comparison, where India and China has been a consistent importer of India's seafood products, where USA remains India's top market, now taking over about over 40% of exports in 2023, which was largely driven by the shrimp market. Next slide, please. Now let's have a look at the shrimp and seaweed aquaculture, which is India's most competitive edge in seafood export. As we can see from this pie chart, the 70 to 75% of export that we do in marine product is from the frozen shrimp sector. And why shrimp and seaweeds dominate India's marine exports is due to its higher export value, high global demand, export-focused aquaculture, and government support and policy. As we can see from here, from 2010 to 2024, there was a 7x increase in shrimp production, due to which India is now the second largest shrimp exporter globally. And then coming to the seaweed sector, it's a booming sector due to as the export prices has jumped from 0.84 to $0.84 to around $153.22 per kg, with a market size set to double by 2033. And due to its low cost and low investment, farmers can also have a very profitable livelihood from this. Next slide, please. Now, how the policies have contributed to all this growth, as we can see from the graph on the top, that funding in the PMMSY scheme, after the introduction of PMMSY scheme, the funding in fisheries sector has seen a growth of about 1,100%. And in the graph below, under this PMMSY scheme, we are targeting to achieve about 27 million ton fish production by 2030, due to which the fish farms will be able to produce nearly 2/3 of India's fish supply by 2030. Next slide. Now, I will look at the challenges that we face, that these sectors are facing. The supply chain disruption, due to which the seafood and agricultural exports have backlogs hurting the coastal MSMEs. And as most of the farmers have limited access to the formal credit system, they have a higher risk. And then the climate change threats. Cyclone have caused about an economic loss of 15,000 to 20,000 crore annually. And then market fluctuation and tariffs. Recent US shrimp tariffs hit Andhra Pradesh aquaculture hard, due to which we can see the headlines made like US tariff hits Andhra's shrimp exports. Prices were dipped to 10 to 15% as aqua farmers feel the pinch. Next slide, please. Now, I will talk about my problem statement. India's coastal economy faces rising risk from climate change, trade disruption, threatening livelihoods and national economic stability. And all these problems are not properly assessed by traditional systems that often overlooks the underwater assets, supply chains, and marine ecosystem. This limits our ability to design targeted and proper strategies. Hence, our study applies the underwater domain awareness framework to bridge this gap. Next slide, please. So, using this UDA framework, especially the blue economy and sustainability and climate change pillars, we can help the coastal economy tackle supply shock, climate risk, credit gaps, and export volatility through smarter planning and data-driven tools and a proper infrastructure. For the supply chain resilience, blue economy pillars support digital shipping and corridors, and climate adaptation, marine environment and disaster management pillar enables early warnings and coastal mappings, mangrove restoration. For better finance access, UDA-driven data tools can help coastal MSMEs and fisheries get secured loans with lower risk. Then for export stability, shifting to value-added seafood products and diversifying target markets can help coastal exporters reduce dependency on a single country. Thank you. That's it from my side.
Thank you, Adi.
Thank you. Thanks, Adi, for your presentation. So with this, we'll move on to the next group of presenters. So the broader topic is going to be sediment management. And first we have Deepak Chaurasia from IIT Kanpur, and the topic of his presentation is sediment transport modeling for Brahmaputra River. Over to you, Deepak.
Hi, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me share my screen. Is it visible?
Yes.
My slide is visible,
Yes.
na?
Not yet.
Slide is not visible.
No.
Not the slide.
Share your entire.
I'm sharing entire screen. There is problem in sharing entire screen.
Yeah, can you share Deepak's presentation also?
Wait. Is it visible now?
Yes, now.
Okay. So hi everyone, myself Deepak Chaurasia. I'm pre-finalist student here at IIT Kanpur and summer intern at Maritime Research Center as a research engineer. So my project title is Sediment Transport Modeling in Brahmaputra River. Let's get started. So these are the content slide that we will be going through in upcoming slides. First of all, starting with the what is sediment. So starting with the definition, sediment is basically particulate matter or kind of silt, clay, gravel that mobilize or moves with the flow of a river during their movement. And next we will go to the type of loads that we usually see in sediments. First is suspended load. It's a very fine particle that flow with the river. It consists of roughly 85 to 99% of the total sediment that we study for a river. And second is bed load that is a much heavier load that settle down at the bottom of the river, and third is wash load. Basically, it's a subset of suspended load, but it's a very fine particle, more finer than the suspended load. And third is impact. In upcoming slide, we will be seeing those impact about the navigation, reservoir capacity, infrastructure health, and ecological habitats and maritime means marine life. So, what is sediment modeling? Means what the things are we going to do in the in sediment modeling? Basically, it's a numerical simulation or physics-based method of uh, uh, in which we study about the eroded sediment, silt, clay, gravels transported by a river by flowing the river during their flow, both including suspended and uh, sediment load. And of course, there is an application. That's why we are going to do modeling. The application include predicting channel aggregation, and secondly, optimizing dredging so that we can predict the where the sediment deposition is more or less, and we can optimize the dredging. And the dredging erosion and control. It is also helpful in prediction of a flood for a particular river, and accessing the habitat changes, and of course the health of infrastructure uh, uh, and its impacts. So why we are doing sediment modeling? Basically, we are predicting the channel evolution, shoaling, score, and bar migration. And second is dredging optimization, as we talked in the last slide. Means like by predicting our sediment, um, we can predict the where should we dredge, where is the sediment more, and where is the sediment less, so that we can optimize our dredging. And third is flood risk assessment. Due to the uh, heavy settlement of a sediment in the bed of a river, we can access the means the flood risk means the uh, and third is sustainable management, reservoir sedimentation, and forecasting the health of infrastructure and delta health. So let us come to the means why it's matter for our Brahmaputra. So as we know that Brahmaputra is means one of the longest river in northeast, especially in Assam and Arunachal Pradesh, and it's one of the highest sediment containing river. Means approximately around 700 metric ton to 1000 metric ton, both including suspended and bed load. And this is way higher than any other river exist in India in compared to sediment. And second is gradient morphology, frequent bar formation, and third is monsoon dynamics, extreme flood that may be risk in particularly in Assam's and Arunachal Pradesh, and socioeconomics importance, of course, flood navigation system and infrastructure like hydropower and even for the agriculture. Impact on the Brahmaputra, as we can see in the graph that suspended sediment concentration increases in the monsoon as compared to dry region, even from the compared to Indus River. For our Brahmaputra case is always increasing. We can see in the bar chart as compared to Athens and Indus River. Even Times is also saying that means like Brahmaputra has very variable sediment, so modeling is very important. Uh, here I have list down the some states of some river that I have studied during means what are their sediment load as compared to Brahmaputra. If you will see the Brahmaputra, that is way higher than any other river like Mahanandi and Bhagirathi, Hooghly in the Kharke and Tel sub-basin. That is Brahmaputra has 700 plus, but none of the river even has 500 plus except Hooghly, that is roughly around 520 in the max case. And third is here are the different models that have been studied and applied on the different river for sediment modeling. First is and for our selection of a model, first is Manandi India. They have used on our sedimentation modeling. Bhagirathi Hooghly Hecrus 1D model they have used, and in Indus Pakistan they have also used Hecrus 1D sediment model, and Kharke Iran they have used MKE 11 SD STCC 2ED model, and Ethiopia field measurement analysis they have used, and in Mississippi, USA, they have used HECRA-STUDY model. And first of all, criteria for my model selection for Brahmaputra cases, basically two things I have kept in mind. First is the model that we are going to select, their their sediment amount or bed load should be equivalent to the Brahmaputra as means as roughly equal to 200, 300 or 400. Second is model should be as much as open source so that we can take the references and tweak that model for our Brahmaputra case. So we keeping in those two things in mind, we have finally selected HECRA-STUDY model and will be going through HECRA-STUDY model for the our sediment modeling. So by HECRA-STUDY model, of course, it's free and open source, license free, and it's we are comparing 2D sediment modeling, 2D modeling of means flow of a river, not 1D, and easy onboarding and prototyping and tweaking is also easy for HECRA-STUDY model, and it has been already used on a HECRA's Hooghly River, but it was 1D, but we are using 2D so that we can capture more for Brahmaputra case. And here are the key data that we are going to need for our modeling: geometry and topographical data. Second is hydrological forcing data, morphological parameters, and sediment properties like their grain size and bed sample and bulk density and critical field parameter. And third is roughness and land cover, mannings and maps, bank, floodplain, vegetation, and cover. And the HECRA model, here is my workflow: first gathering the data and then imported to, then creating the 2D mesh, and then of course linking the all hydrograph data to our model, and then predicting the sediment amount of sediment that we are going to map. And here are the expected outcome that we are expecting from our model. So first of all is sediment budget. Of course, we are doing sediment modeling. Then we will have a sediment model, sediment data of time series and annual loads. And second is drilling and infrastructure advice on the basis of if we have a sediment data, then we can advise the government or optimize the dredging on the basis of where the sediment load is more and where the sediment deposition is more. Then we can optimize our dredging for the health of our infrastructure and flood risk management, management, and even for the marine life and protection, bank protection, and preventing from erosion of river. And third is flood risk assessment. Of course, if there will be more sediment deposition in a riverbed, there will be increasing of the risk of flood in those particular area that is surrounding those beds of a river. So we can predict the flood risk by modeling the sediment. And fourth is sustainable management, predicting the infrastructure health and forecasting, and even the delta health, and even for the marine life, the fishes they are living in the river. If there is high sediment, that will also be problem for them. And thank you. This is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepak.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Deepak. So with this, we'll move to the second last presentation of the evening, and we have Harshit Logre from IIT Kanpur. The topic of his presentation is silt management policy for river coastal systems. Harshit, over to you. Harshit Logre.
Yeah. Is my screen visible?
Yes, the screen is visible, but yes, the presentation is also visible.
Now is it visible? No, presentation also.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So hi everyone, I am Harshit Logre, pursuing my undergraduate from IIT Kanpur, and presently working as a research intern at Maritime Research Center, Pune. And my topic for today's presentation is economic modeling for sustainable silt management in Maharashtra region. So for the introduction part, so let me introduce what is silt. Silt is fine-grained soil or sediment transported and deposited by water, typically found in riverbeds, reservoirs, and irrigation channels. Due to excessive silt accumulation, it reduces water storage capacity, clogs irrigation systems, degrades aquatic habitats, and increases flood risk. So, silt management involves monitoring, controlling, and removing sediments from water bodies to ensure ecological balance and infrastructure longevity. Poor silt management may lead to high dredging costs, agricultural losses, and infrastructure damage, making economic planning vital for sustainable management. So, economic models help quantify trade-offs, evaluate policies, optimize resource allocation in silt removal, reuse, and prevention strategies. So, the next part is the need for silt management in Maharashtra. First is frequent flooding and waterlogging. Excess silt accumulation in riverbeds, reservoirs, and drain reduces water's carrying capacity. And major rivers like Godavari, Krishna, and Tapi witness overflow during monsoons, impacting agriculture and settlements. Second is fisheries and biodiversity threats. Silt disrupts aquatic habitats and fish breeding grounds in rivers and estuaries, and it negatively impacts local fishing communities and ecological balance. Third is declining storage capacity of dams. Over 3,000 dams in Maharashtra face sedimentation issues, and silt reduces water storage. It affects irrigation, drinking water, and hydropower generation. Example, Ujjaini dams. And last one is the agricultural productivity loss. Poor soil quality and inconsistent water supply due to silt clogged canals and tanks, and reclamation of desilted fertile silt can help restore soil nutrients on farmlands. Next part is the case studies from case studies. It consists of various economic policies or models that is being practiced by different countries for the silt management. First one is from the United States, that is market-based trading. The economic model it follows is cap and trade or grid-based incentive system. Its mechanism is water quality trading. WQT allows entities to buy or sell pollution reduction credits. Example, sediments, nitrogen, phosphorus under the Clean Water Act. And its working is that polluters with lower compliance costs reduce sediment discharge, and they sell credits to other who face higher reduction cost. So economic benefit it has is cost efficiency in meeting regulatory targets and encourages investment efficiency in meeting regulatory targets and encourages investment in green infrastructure like wetlands and riparian buffers. And it fosters the intersectoral operations like agriculture and industries. The next point is the Netherlands, that is public investment with ecosystem valuation. The economic model it follows is state-led investment, ecosystem and service valuation. The mechanism it follows is that government invest in habitat creation using dredged silt as a resource, not a waste. And the economic logic it is that it integrates ecosystem service valuation, example carbon sequestration and biodiversity into public budgeting, and it avoids cost of landfill disposal and creates long-term ecological capital. The benefits it has is that the public cost savings and it promotes a circular economy and sediment reuse. Next one is of Australia, that infrastructure cost sharing and avoided dredging cost. The economic model it follows is that the infrastructure investment with avoided cost and accounting. And the system it follows is coal cost, seawave sand bypass system, capital intensive installation by port authorities. And the economic logic it follows is that it bypasses natural sediment flow, reducing downstream siltation, and uses avoided dredging cost to justify the investment. The economic benefit it has is it's a 40% reduction in ongoing dredging cost and maintains a beach health, reducing a coastal erosion cost, and it helps in the circular trade as well. Next one is the United Kingdom, private sector innovation with market driven returns. The economic model it follows is that private sector innovation with market driven returns, and the economic model it follows is private investment with resource recovery markets. The economic logic is that the silt converted to marketable products like compost, topsoils, and landfill covers, and it operates under a profit motive without public subsidy. The revenue streams has is that bypasses natural sediment flow, reducing downstream siltation, and it uses avoided dredging costs to justify the investment. And the economic benefit it has is it reduces landfills disposal cost and generates multiple income streams from silt use. Next part is the impact on the key economic sectors by the silt management. This is right for the agriculture part. It improved the soil health through reuse silt, process silt. Example in the compost UDA. And second is the reduced nutrient runoff, boost crop productivity and water conservation. Next is the port and maritime transport, lower dredging cost and improved navigability, like in Australia's sand bypass system. And second is the increased efficiency and reliability in trade and shipping logistics. Next is the environmental services and tourism. The habitat restoration example, Marker Warden in Netherlands drives ecotourism and cleaner rivers coast and enhances public health and recreational uses. The last is the construction and waste management. The silt converted into construction materials or landfill covers like in the UK innovations, and it supports the circular economy by reducing disposal cost and material imports. Next part is this flowcharts is showing how the silt management can cause a circular economy. It represents how a silt can re-enter the economy via reuse, like agriculture, construction, and focus on reducing waste, saving cost, and turning a liability into a resource. And it promotes sustainability and resource efficiency. Next part is the challenges to implement non-fiscal silt policy in the Maharashtra region. The first point is the lack of regulatory framework, the absence of clear provisions for trading sediment credits, reuse mandates, or ecosystem service markets. Second is river basin level coordination mechanism are underdeveloped. And second is institutional fragmentations. Multiple departments like irrigation, environment, agriculture, urban development work in silos. Lack of dedicated sediment management authority leads to inefficiency and overlap. Third is the limited private sector engagement. Low awareness and incentive among the private firms to invest in sediment reuse innovations, and no enabling mechanisms for market-based return without upfront profits. And last is the data deficiency and technical gaps. The inadequate mapping of sediments generation and movement and reuse potential, and lack of trained personnel to carry out valuation of ecosystem services or design offset schemes. Now, the way forward to implementing a non-fiscal silt policies in Maharashtra region. Firstly, is establish a state-level regulatory framework for that it contains a formulate a Maharashtra sediment management policy with legal backing for sediment credit trading, reuse mandates in infrastructure, agriculture, and ecosystem service integration. Second one is the create a multi-stakeholder coordination body, set up a sediment governance council with representatives from WRD, MPCB, agriculture, ULBs, and private sectors and NGOs, and ensures convergence of schemes like Jalyut Shiver and NRM programs. Third is the pilot market-based demonstration projects. Select the pilot river basins, example Godavari, Krishna, and sub-basins for sediment to produce innovation zones, and credit-based trading between the upstreams, farmers, and downstream users. And last is to facilitate private sector entry via incentives and platforms, create an online sediment exchange portal for buyers and sellers, and promote P models for equipment, transport, and processing units without subsidies. Yeah, thank you, and that's all from my side.
Thank you very much, Harshit.
With this, we'll move to the last presentation of the evening. We have Harshit Jain from IIT Delhi. He's going to be making a presentation on the topic urban flood risk mapping for Brahmaputra River.
My name is.
Yeah,
yes, ma'am. I will share my screen. Just a second. Is my screen visible, ma'am?
Not yet.
Not Yeah.
Just a second. No problem. Well, just a second. Actually, there is some. Ma'am, just it's allowed permission. Just a
Okay.
second.
Alright. In case if you share it with Shreya, then he can also present Harshit if you want.
Yes, ma'am. Just a second.
Right. And I think Harshit is taking
Ma'am,
some time.
just give me a minute. Just give me a minute.
Time, Harshit. If you need any assistance, you can reach out to Shreya in the meanwhile. You can just share your presentation.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can I share with you? Is it possible? Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, do it quick.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just a second, sir. Sir, I shared with Mr. Ma'am the PPT sharing screen, sir. Actually.
Yes, yes. Shreya has received your presentation. He'll make it. Yeah, your presentation is up.
Yes. So sorry, sir, for this technical issue. So my name is Harshit Jain, and I am student from IIT Delhi, and currently I am doing a summer intern at MRC, and my topic is urban flood mapping of Assam Brahmaputra region. So let's start with the introduction part. Can you in every monsoons. As we see, Assam watches its river rise and cities drown, roads turn into rivers, schools shut down, and families are forced to flee. Urban flood are not just waterlogging problems; they are silently disasters. So why this are matters? So urban flooding in Assam is now more frequent, more intense, and more damaging, especially in fast-growing cities like the Guwahati. So in the next slide, I will be presenting. So as you in the next slide, I will be showing the how the disaster is this. So you can see various newses cover 5 lakhs hits, 14,000 in relief camps, and you can also see the New York Times, the international newspaper, which covers this problem. So lakhs of people every year faces these problems, and it is the major problem in the northeast region, especially in Assam. So in the next slide, I will be sharing the problem statement. Why is this happening? So uh, the real problem is not just heavy rain, but how our cities respond to it. Concrete replaces open land, drainage systems get choked, and we still rely on outdated flood maps made decades ago. So the three big causes is sudden intense rainfall, poor urban planning, lack of real rainfall data, and risk data. So now I will give you the uh, case study of the urban flood mapping, Jakarta, Indonesia. I requested to just move this slide, the next slide. This case study, Jakarta, in the Jakarta, 40% of area are the below the sea levels. They suffer urban flood due to heavy rainfall, poor drainage, and rapid urbanizations. What they approach research, they use the rainfall satellite rainfall data, elevation maps, and land use layers to map flood risk zones using simple GIS models. So what they finds, they predicted flood hotspot in north and east Jakarta, showed that uncontrolled urban growth worsens flood impact. They recommended nature-based solutions and early warnings over just concrete infrastructures. So how they will impact? It helped to shape Jakarta's smart flood model system and city planning using affordable open source tool. So there are the different methods of flood mapping we are using. This next slide. I will request to just move this slide. So there are the various flood methods. You can see historical flood maps, hydrodynamic simulations, manual rainfall thresholds, and drainage model in GIS. Basically, in historical flood maps based on past flood records and boundaries. Problem with this is they are outdated, not useful of new urban areas or changing rainfall patterns. So next method is hydrodynamic simulation. It is based on how water moves. It is very accurate. That's why we also use this method in our modeling. Next method is manually rainfall thresholds, marking flood based on fixed rainfall. It ignores terrain and drainage, so that's why we don't use in this in particular in case of Assam. Next method is drainage modeling in GIS, mapping of city drains and runoff pathways using GIS tools. It needs detailed updated drain maps, which is not available in case of Assam. So that's why all of these methods are available in the market, but we use hydrodynamic simulation models. So next slide is our approach, seeing flood before they happen. So what if we could see the flood coming not just after it arrives, but as the rain is falling? That's exactly what we set out to do. So basically our key idea is we used elevation map plus real rainfall data to simulate which areas might get flooded, just like weather maps simulate storms. So simple analogy is, imagine pouring water on the slope tray. The water follows to the lowest point. Similarly, in the cities, water follow terrains. So knowing elevation help us predict where water will collect. So in the next slide, I will tell about the methodology. So first we collect the elevation data, and then we use real rainfall data available from the satellites. Then we combine our real rainfall data which we collected from the slides, plus we add land slope data, basically digital elevation model file, and then we created a flood risk map, which and then we added the district boundaries to make the map useful for the peoples and officials so that it clears which regions are at the risk. So in the next slides, uh, I will tell the basically combinations. What we combined. We combined the real rainfall from satellites, ground height data, and the logic like more rain plus lower land equal to more risk. So now coming to the next slide, elevation and results parts. So what did we find? Sir, next slide. What did we find? So we tried to show this on Assam's, and the results were really eye-opening. This map show high flood risk in low lying zone near the Brahmaputra, rapid runoff in city cores with concrete surfaces. Safe zones are in hilly elevated regions. So next I can show the map which is generated by our model. This is the next slide in this flood risk map of the Assam, which is optimization for the low RAM. Please, can you next slide? Yes, this is the flood risk map of the Assam. It is also optimizable for the low RAM. As you can see in the right hand side portion, from 0 to 1 there is the risk factor based on color coding. As in the current scenario, Assam regions are purely in safe region according to the rainfall data and digital elevation data. So you can see that it is showing blue color, basically zero risk. So you can see the zero risk on the map. So you can see the accuracy of the our model. And next we tell about the novelty, what makes this different. So in next slide, I will tell about why this is different from other. So it uses the live rainfall data, no costly software or pay tools, and it is easily customizable for any city and any river. So that's why it's unique. So next I tell about the future scope. What can we do with this? This is just the beginning. The same idea can power many flood safety solutions. So what's the next? We can add the drain map to find choke points using smart city planning for safer layout. We connect it to mobile alerts for resident, and even it apply it in the other regions like Bihar, Bangladesh, Vietnam's, where floods follow rivers. So flood may be natural. At the last, I will say just a one line. Flood may be natural, but disasters are man-made. With better data, and we don't just react, we prepare. And when we prepare, we protect. So thank you. This is all from my side. And sorry everyone for this mistake.
Thank you, Thank you, Arshit.
Thank you.
Arshit. So with this, we have culminated all the presentations, and now we'll move on to the next segment of the webinar, which is about the comments and feedback section. And today we have with us really esteemed assessors. I'd like to introduce the first one that we have with us, Mr. Pradeep Shah. So currently the chairman of Ind-Asia Fund Advisor Private Limited and non-executive chairman of BASF India since April 2019. He's the chairman of Pfizer India's board since February 2022 and board member since 1999. He co-founded the Indo-Ocean Fund in 1994, followed by the launch of Ind-Asia Fund Advisors Private Limited in 1998, focusing on corporate finance, private equity, and investment advisory. Sir has been engaged with international organizations such as USAID, World Bank, and Asian Development Bank for advisory assignments. And talking about his education, he did his MBA from Harvard Business School, also a chartered accountant and cost accounting, topping the CA exam in India. Over to you, Pradeep Shah, sir.
Thank you, Nishtha. So congratulations firstly to all presenters for a very thought-provoking session. I enjoyed the session, I learned something, and I hope you all can build on that. With the satellite measured coastline of 11,098 kilometers, as Adi pointed out, and it's not 7,516, which is what we used to operate on the basis of the manual survey of 1970. There is urgent need for this underwater domain awareness. And the subject lends itself to much innovation, considering that we know so little about this underwater domain. It's easy to think of only defense uses as the primary focus for such awareness. But there is also a huge civilian need for it in terms of mapping, repairs, mining, fishing, recreation. And fishing, you've talked a lot about it this time. So underwater domain awareness has many challenges, different from what is visible on land, air, or space. lack of availability of power, for instance. If a satellite goes into space, is able to generate power from the sun, for example. Then the high pressure underwater, or corrosion, or varying temperatures and varying salinity, the communication challenges which make remote control more difficult. For instance, speed of movement, manned and unmanned underwater vehicles, difficulty of repairs, avoiding detection, miniaturization. So many challenges. Then urgent need is for applied research in each of these areas. Well, blue sky research can be done by universities and government organizations and government affiliated organizations. What can come out of from research lab by bright people like you is practical applications of these ideas, of innovative ideas. So my focus is on how UDA course participants can participate in entrepreneurship. There are 6 words that an entrepreneur should be guided by: find a need and fill it. And then think. Who will be your customer? Why would they pay for it? How will they use it? Can your innovation make their life a little better? For instance, I got example from Atharva Agarwal's, the whale sound differentiation. Can you make it into a software that can be incorporated into navigation systems of ships? So, for instance, all ships crossing the North Atlantic or wherever there are more whales in the southern hemisphere, etc., can install it when they want to, or use it as a software as a service, for instance. But think of it as in a practical application, and what additional data do you need? What additional refinements you need for that kind of thing? Similarly, I thought you had in habitat suitability, NASA had pointed out about models being used for turtles and dolphins. But how do you use it? How do you get the data for the specific? So you will have to integrate all that into that and offer a turnkey solution if you want to. So, when you think of the problem statement, think of who will pay for that problem if you find a solution for it. And if you address that person's needs, then automatically you will come out with thinking and outcomes which are suitable for that. So then the entrepreneur needs to take a guide from the NASA simple words, which then in 1992, an administrator of NASA came out with that guideline. Is it faster? Is it better? Is it cheaper? Faster, better, cheaper. These 3 words again, very simple. And if your innovation addresses these dimensions for the customer, then you have got a winning product. So please go ahead and then develop the prototype. Take the risk with family and friends' money. You are young, can afford to take risks with both time and money. The idea should be that if you fail fast so that you can get up and go again. You live in an age when the ecosystem allows this. You have the internet. When I started, I didn't have the internet to get information on how a rating agency was to start. I thought and came out with some suggestions as to what I could do. And first time right, we got it right, and we moved ahead. And Israel couldn't get it right, and Malaysia couldn't get it right, so they came to us for know-how, and we had to give them know-how, as it were, as to how to get going. So funding is less of a constraint now than ever before. And with university incubators, state government and other incubators, venture capitalists, etc. So funding would be available. So take that risk, take that plunge. And there are wonderful examples. For instance, Ankit Mehta of IdeaForge Technology, a drones company, is an IIT Mumbai product. And look at it now with the companies listed on the stock exchange. Kishore Atluri, a computer science graduate from Hyderabad, started Zen Technologies, which is now 16,000 crore or 19,000 crore market cap company, and he's developed training simulators for defense and security forces, and now is seeking to work with the Navy. So I would say that you all have done wonderfully well in identifying, areas. Deepak Chaurasia, for instance, sediment modeling in the Brahmaputra. Now, how many practical applications I can think of for creating ports or creating where, for instance, dam could be built or power could be generated or flood risk avoided and so on and so forth. Similarly, in the case of Atul Mangal, modeling of framework for Brahmaputra Basin, who will pay for it? That is what you have to think of, Atul. And can you also think of, for instance, I just take an example. I was chairman of Kansai Nerolac Paints. It's a paint company. So if you were to think of paints in the shipping industry, now the framework for thinking would be, can you reduce corrosion? Because that's what one of the biggest challenges for shipping companies is. Then avoid detection or faster movement. For instance, a coating like a Teflon coating can make you move faster through the sea. But does it pollute? Then you have to check on those angles and so on. And then is it easy to apply? Is it durable? Can it be quick drying? So those are kind of dimensions that you would work on to get it. And I'm sure if you do some work, then there will be people like paint companies that be interested in getting your know-how. You could market your product and service and so on. So I would say that you follow some philosophy. You know, your motivation should be, of course, to get financial security, make some money, etc., which is very good. But beyond a point, beyond financial security, money is no value. You know, you have to think of some philosophy which drives you. Swami Vivekananda had three words, which are three words from the Katha Upanishad, which he was guided by. Uttishtata, Jagrata, Prapyavarna Nibodhata. Arise, awake, and stop not till your goal is reached. And then again, take heart from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, which reminds you that you can make your own destiny. You don't have to inherit destiny or be guided by someone abroad who above you who has written your destiny for you. You are what your deep driving desire is. As your desire is, so is your will. As your will is, so is your deed. As your deed is, so is your destiny. Thank you very much again, and congratulations. You've done a marvelous job, very thought-provoking. I hope you can do more work on it and come out with practical outputs and outcomes which can be patented, which can bring revenues for you and bring glory to you, as it were. Thank you again.
Thank you so much,
Very
sir.
much. Thank you so much, Pradeep Shah, sir, for your perspective. It has added great depth to the discussion that we had, and thank you so much for motivating the interns, the UDA Summer Interns who join us each time. And your experience and clarity about the valuable context has added valuable context to the topic, and your engagement has definitely significantly upgraded today's discussion. Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to the next assessor. We have Mr. P.V. Krishnan. So today, Mr. P.V. Krishna serves as a partner at Siri Investment Trust, a significant leadership position that highlights his continued influence in the investment and financial markets. He remains active in India's financial and policy ecosystem. Mr. Krishna led Goldman Sachs ECM business in India. He departed the firm in June 2016 after a notable stint. Before rejoining Goldman, he worked at Morgan Stanley from 2011, where he built expertise and gained a high-profile experience in ECM. In 2011, Goldman Sachs India appointed him as the managing director and head of capital markets, a key leadership role. So I would now request Mr. P.V. Krishna, to take over and share his remarks.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time, and I really appreciate and having me here. But more importantly, I would say it was a wonderful presentation by all the interns at UDA, and a lot of them are very, very thought-provoking. And I think the key is, I think Pradeep rightly pointed out that you need to basically think about how do you take it from this level to the next one, i.e., figure out what are the number one commercial implications of this. How do you look to potentially patent it? How do you engage with potential stakeholders, whether it could be, I would say, government, whether it could be private sector, and how do you make it commercially viable? So my only point is, and this is based on the journey that we have done and we have seen analysts and interns do. They consider this as, I would say, a one-off, an internship, and they leave it off. I would actually urge that don't do that. Since you have actually spent a considerable amount of time and effort in progressing this particular idea, dive deeper. My philosophy always is pick up one spot that works for you, and it should be 1 inch wide and but 1 mile deep. So get into the depth of what you are planning to actually do. And if this is the area that is of interest to you, and the nuts and bolts, ups and downs of everything. Based on that, you can actually make a blueprint in terms of how we want to utilize it from a commercial standpoint, and then reach out to potential stakeholders. But each of the ideas, whether it is from, I would say, sediment management to understanding the, I would say, the flow of the river to potentially biodiversity, how to protect that, Each one of them is completely thought-provoking. Each one of them is something which is uncharted territory. So to that extent, UDA provides you or has given you that platform, which is a combination of something which is good domain knowledge and complemented with great technology. So that's what you should actually focus more on, leverage more on, because the next, I would say, at least the next couple of decades are going to be India's, particularly in terms of innovation, in terms of going out. And you are lucky because there isn't too much, I would say, at this point of time, competition in this particular sector. So it is uncharted territory. You actually have the lead already. So I would request that all the interns actually dive deeper, capitalize on what has already been done, and then work with people. If you need, you can always raise your hand through UDA to any one of us or to any of the network that they have. But I would sincerely urge that you take it from this level to the next one. I focus on developing this further. Ensure that you may potentially have a patent if need be along with UDA. And thereafter, possibly speak to VCs, speak to incubators, speak to others, essentially so that you actually get funded. A number of these projects can get funded. They are highly doable. And I think the most important thing is this kind of thing, which I think was shared in the initial part by UDA, is something which has never been done for India in the past. So to that extent, you have the head start, which you should definitely capitalize on. So with those things, I would say it's absolutely a wonderful platform that you've been associated with in terms of UDA. And you should definitely capitalize on that and move it forward.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Fine remarks. Next, we will move on to the last assessor. We have Advocate Hemant Pvt. He practices in the Pune District Court and appears before the Mumbai High Court as well. Besides, he has studied technology from IT Bombay also. So I would now hand over the stage to Mr. Hemant Pvt. For his kind remarks.
Am I visible?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me properly?
Yes, yes.
Thank you for associating with me with this program. It was really a thought-provoking, and I was really impressed by the work that the interns did in this uncharted territory. I also was not aware about the fact that underwater domain was not really looked into by anyone. And in fact, as all the speakers before have said, that I think 2/3 of the universe is water, and we have not charted it. We have seen we have mapped the constellation, but we have not mapped the undersea. That is very, it is sad that we have not done it. And the fact that after 1982, when the UN came up with various zones along the coast, and we have a 200 nautical miles of sea where we can economically exploit. But which area I think comes to the area of that, this would be more than the area of Rajasthan, I think. So, which is the largest state in the country. And therefore it is, and when I was looking up, the government of India spends only 1,000 crores on oceanography. We may be spending 30,000 crores on for our Indian Navy. So this pitiful amount on a resource is really disheartening. But I think the main thing is we are not aware about the issues of issues and the potential that the sea has for us, both in terms of because tomorrow with climate change we are going to have food. Maybe food would be a shortage, and the sea would come to our rescue if we really map it properly. So this is one thing that we have to look at. And it was really, I was really fortunate to hear all the presentation. I was, of course, touched by a few issues because which we face in the cities like the city where I'm staying, urban flooding, our pollution of our rivers. When I was a kid, we could swim in the rivers, but now you can't even hope to even touch the water in the river. So all these issues need to be highlighted, and so there was a lot of awareness required and such. And I would thank UDA for creating a platform and engaging youngsters to take up new topics. And I would also say that side by side, when you're looking at the technical and also start seeing what are the gray areas where legislation is required. Finally, in all these territories, laws need to be put in place in due course by the government, but for them, inputs have to be given by experts who work in such domain. I mean, you'll be surprised there's no law regarding rivers in the country. So obviously, there's no law regarding the issues about the sea. Now, even if the UDA was formulated in 1982, tomorrow if some our coastlines keep on changing, and if we have a dispute, how do we resolve it? All these issues are there. Therefore, side by side, when you're doing research in the technological aspects, see where are our gray areas in terms of law, what legislation needs to be done, and so that you could advise the government to come up with such legislation. I think coming up with a robust law is very important. Otherwise, our disputes never get resolved and create more dispute. In fact, most of the pollution that is happening in our country is because of lack of, we are not aware of the laws. Secondly, there is no enforcement of the law because even the enforcement agencies are not geared up to that. So, in doing all this, when you're working on a new platform, especially for the sea and underwater domain, you also look at side by side what legislation which needs to come in, right from defining what a coastline is. What is so every term would have to be defined. So work side by side on this so that you could come up with a paper to avoid the policymakers to take a proper decision. I would again thank the organizers to call me, and I was really impressed with all the interns who had done a very thorough job in making their presentation. Thank you once again, and best wishes to the interns, and I hope to them all the best in time to come. In fact, when talking to Mr. Das the other day, that we are the only country against where a sea is named after us, and we should. I mean, I think, and we should carry it forward. No other country, the seas never. All the seas are Pacific, Atlantic, but there's only one in Indian Ocean. So it should be proud about the fact that there's an ocean is named after us. And I think with that, I think we should be the leaders in this underwater domain. Work on underwater domain. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Really appreciate your comments. Pradeep Shah, sir, really appreciate your comments. And I would also like to, in our last presentation, one of our interns, Suchir, whom you saw in that video, he's working on fouling. I mean, anti-fouling is the second stage, but we are trying to model the fouling itself.
Right.
And that will give you a much better leverage on how to manage the paints. And so we have done reasonable work on that aspect also. And like what Hemant sir, you said, in our next round of presentation, we have a young intern working on international law. So yes, there is far more requirement to bring the legal aspect. We have started now, sir. So the next presentation on 29th of this month will be the liberal arts students. So we're trying to group them into various components. So the last one covered few technology aspects, but next one will be dedicated to, so there is a intern from University College London on, she's an anthropology student. Then you saw Prathna in the video. She's from University of Virginia working on public policy. I mean, she's an undergraduate on public policy. So, I mean, we don't want to work on anything. working with us. So thank you so much, sir. And Krishna, sir, thank you very much for your comments. And we really take note of that. And we will, I will definitely meet you all individually and take this discussion forward. There is a lot of discussion on how to commercialize all this. So we will definitely reach out to you and seek your advice on that. So I think I'll hand over to Prafulji for his last comments.
Thank you, thank you, Commander. See, I've been associated with the Maritime Research Center for the last 8 years, almost since inception. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah? Yeah, thank you.
Yes,
I've been
yes.
associated with the Maritime Research Center right since inception. And when Commander Das approached me, I was totally at sea, in the sense that he told me what he's doing, all underwater acoustics and all. For me, it was all Greek and Latin. So 8 years ago, when we went to Delhi, first time we went and met General Katoj. We went to meet Captain Bansal, Alok Bansal at the India Foundation, and he put us on to General Katoj. General Katoj told us that, you've embarked on a great journey, but the problem in Delhi is that no one is willing to look at the ocean. And you're talking about things under the ocean. But wish you all the very best. You are doing. So that's the note on which we started. And it's been 8 years. It's very heartening for me to see this sapling which Commander Das has planted, and I've offered a little water once in a while, take shape. A few months ago, we went and met Mr. Pradeep Shah, and Pradeep always has a very, his infectious energy is so so enthusing. He said, like, it's great what you're doing, but you have to build a model which makes a difference. Like what he quoted, he said, faster, better. And how do you build entrepreneurship? See, as part of MRC, we had envisioned that we would have a incubation center, and now we have reached a stage where we have built a huge body of work. There are 300 startup ideas, and that is the reason why we thought of getting Pradeep and Krishna and not adding dimensions which MRC didn't have till recently. We were more research oriented, but now we are getting more commercially oriented and more. How do we make an opportunity? There's an ocean of opportunity, like everyone keeps saying, but how do we build that? So we need guidance, and that's why we thought of getting stalwarts like you who could guide us in building an incubation center. So thank you very much, Pradeep and Krishna, for your very remarkable insights and inspiring words. And when we met Hemant also recently, we've had 2-3 meetings. He gave us a different dimension. That even a river has not been defined in India. That's the water body has not been defined, and that's a sad state of affairs. When you look at Bangalore, all the water bodies have been encroached upon. In Bombay, so many issues across Indian cities. So there is in Pune. We live in Pune, which is what the Khadakwasla water is that provides drinking water to the dam provides drinking water to Pune. But the dam is 150 years old, and more than 50-60% silted. It's a great opportunity. Now, fortunately, we've got an opportunity. We have been approached by the Maharashtra government to build a silt policy for the government of Maharashtra. They've offered us 2 dams, the Ujni and the Jayakwadi dams. One in the Krishna Basin, and one is in the Godavari Basin. So we are working, and yes, we are talking to some people in how to set up an incubation center. So this, I think, is a right time in the process of evolution of the Maritime Research Center, where we can get people like you and their inputs. So Krishna, thank you so much for joining us. When we met Krishna also, he said this is a great domain. It's a global common, but very hardly addressed in India. See, the domain of space, which is also a global common. India has addressed it fantastically well. We've had ISRO, we've had so many missions to the moon. In India, yes, there is the NIO, there is the NIOT, but there is a lot of fragmentation in our institutions. We need a whole of nation approach here. I mean, that's what Commander Das and me have been advocating in Delhi, that this domain needs a whole of nation approach. And like Hemant said, that we are the only country with an ocean named after it. But the sad thing is that we were colonized by an imperial power which conquered us by the ocean. And yet we have to rise up and wake up to our ocean, which is, I mean, India has got such a fantastic location. Like one of the people we had met earlier, this lady said that India has a box office seat at on the Indian Ocean. It is the best location. India can do so much in the Indian Ocean Rim Association. We have been engaging the Ministry of External Affairs to reach out to the Indian Ocean Region Association, and Commander recently addressed 18 diplomats of the IORA in Delhi at the Sushma Swaraj Institute, which is under the Ministry of External Affairs. And I want to share with you that India is going to take over the chair of the IORA in September, October this year, which will be there for 2 years. So underwater domain awareness is a topic they are choosing to progress in the IORA. And the whole littoral, there are 22 countries in the IORA, 23 countries. And this is relevant for so many of them. So thank you so much, all you three great friends and stalwarts, to have spent your valuable time to guide us. And thank you all the interns. They were very, very excellent. I've learned so much. I didn't know anything when I started with Commander. And over the years, I've learned so much. It's a very fulfilling journey. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, the team at MRC, for doing such wonderful work. Thank you, Sridhar. Sridhar, the second in command of Commander Das, is studying AI at Sydney and works out of Sydney all the way. So thank you very much, all of you, and have a good day. Like they say in the Navy. In the Navy, we never wish good evening or good night, or it's always good day. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Prafulji. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Nishtha, Shreya, and Ayush.
Thank you, Pradeep, Krishna, and Hemant. Thank you. Thank you, all of you. We look
Thank you,
forward
sir.
to meeting you again.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.